Good morning, guys. So yesterday and day before yesterday, we discussed about this InfluxDB and Grafana, right? So let us have a quick recap of that session. All right. So what is so first of all, where does this InfluxDB Grafana come into picture? Yes. Where does this is Elasticsearch, I'll move to the other slide. So if you remember, when we do with performance metric collector or something, right? So, we cannot, even though you add performance metric collector or, even though you use any other monitoring tools, right? So while running the test, we cannot do the live monitoring, isn't it? We can't do live monitoring of the test results. So for that, we need to integrate JMeter with InfluxDB, Grafana and Telegraph, or we have another option called this elk stack, isn't it? So now, yesterday we discussed about InfluxDB and Grafana, isn't it? Now, as we also discussed that, that InfluxDB is a time series database, and it is a high performance time series database to handle high write and query loads. And we are going to use InfluxDB to store the JMeter test results, isn't it? And then Grafana will be used for visualizing those test results, right? Now let us see how to let's see how to integrate this, JMeter with InfluxDB Grafana. Let me open your class notes document. And now, so I'm also having, JMeter running. Now observe here, guys. In the backend listener, yesterday when we added a backend listener, right? So let me add a backend listener first. So when we add a backend listener, so we have some and select, select InfluxDB listener client. Select InfluxDB listener client from the drop down. Let me check if this is also old one actually. So let me tell you what caused issue yesterday, first of all. So when you add a InfluxDB backend listener client, right? So this is how you will have the InfluxDB URL, isn't it? Host to change and 8086 followed by write DB is equal to JMeter. So there is so this worked fine till 1.x till 1.x of InfluxDB. That means up to InfluxDB 1.7, 8, 1.8, 1.9, right? That went, this is valid one. This is valid one. So however, from InfluxDB 2 onwards, there is a change in this API. So in this URL. That is the reason yesterday, we could not see our results in the InfluxDB database. We go, where we are starting the test, but JMeter is unable to push the results to InfluxDB database, isn't it? Now, and not only this one, there is not only InfluxDB URL. We need to add that InfluxDB API token as well. Okay, we'll see that how to add that and all. We'll see that, right? And on the JMeter side, like we need to add a backend listener, right? And let me start that InfluxDB. Let me start that InfluxDB. Let me open a new window, and where it will be? How to start InfluxDB? When you install that InfluxDB through PowerShell, right? You remember it will be installed into C program files, influx data, InfluxDB, right? You go there and you see this influxd.exe, D for database. And now this is a command line tool, right? So if you start, it will say that it is a command line tool, right? You need to open it, command.exe and run it from there. So open a command prompt in that path. Okay. So by typing CMD here, open a command prompt and now type 1 or 2 letters and then use tab, right? It will show you all the options with those letters. And now simply hit enter. Now that's it. So InfluxDB started now, and you should see this message listening, starting and listening. You should see the last 2 lines as starting and listening. That this confirms that InfluxDB is up and running, and it is listening on port number 8086. Right now we are done with starting the InfluxDB. Now, if you want to access that, InfluxDB URL, go to localhost. Let me close this and I'll start from the beginning. Okay. So first time you log in into this URL, it will ask you to create an account, isn't it? It will ask you to create an account. Now, next time once you create an account, if you click on get started, right, you will go to this, you'll see this page. I mean, once you log in, let me log into the application. Okay. And once you log in, you will see the login screen like this for InfluxDB. Clear, guys? And once you log in, you can see the database. Okay, one more thing. So take a screenshot when you are doing this. Take a screenshot. And I think yesterday I had shown you that. Let me try to show you that. So, and I had noted down those details over here. One second. Let me stop my screen share. Let me pass. So here, this is the username that I gave while creating an account with InfluxDB. And today, 27th July, right? And then this is the organization name that I gave, right? So when you are creating an account, you remember it will ask for a organization name and username. Okay. So this is the organization name that I gave without spaces. Don't give spaces in between. And then this is the username that I gave. Okay. While creating an account, you want me to show this again, or you know that yesterday we discussed that, right? How to create an account. First time you go to this URL, it will ask for, see, first time I'll do one thing. First time if you go to that URL, right? It will ask you to create an account. Okay. This one, guys. Actually, you'll get an option to create an account. As I already created an account, it is prompting for username and password directly. Understood, guys? Or you want me to show that from the beginning? How to create an account and all?
Is it only one account per person? Because you don't see creating another account.
No, you can, once you log into the InfluxDB console, you can create multiple accounts, not just one account. You can create accounts later also. So somewhere you will see that users option. See, there is something called Data Explorer. I'll show that. I saw that somewhere over here to create, other users. I think Data Explorer, not Data Explorer. This is the, yeah, here it is. Members. I think, in members, you can create multiple accounts. Okay. Search members. And the existing, you can see the existing user account over here. So you can see the username as Pavan, right? And if you see organization details, you can see that, somewhere you saw the time. See, this is the organization name. Clear this? This is the organization name, and you can create account. That is what, I saw, even if you, when you log in, right, it will show you that, I'll do one thing. Let me share a screenshot so that you'll understand. 1 second.
I think you're muted.
Okay, sorry, I'm speaking on mute. So this is the username that I gave. Observe here. So when you are creating that username, so if you observe here, it is clearly mentioning here that, you'll be able to create additional users, buckets, and organizations later, right? So this is the initial user details that you will give. First time you go to InfluxDB URL, you will get the screen like this, and you will enter your username password here. When you are giving organization name, don't give any spaces, guys. Please remember that. Again, this caused some issue to me yesterday when I was trying that. When I was, when I'm integrating and when I'm trying to push the results, the spaces caused some issue. Then what I did is I had renamed the organization name. Okay. So don't give spaces when you're creating any organization name. Don't give any spaces. And this is the bucket name that I gave here. Perf test is the bucket name that I gave, isn't it? So this is the bucket name or database name. Previously, they used to call it as database till 1.9 or not till before 2.x. They used to call it as database, but from InfluxDB 2 version, second version onwards, they are calling it as bucket. And they made a lot of UI changes. They introduced a lot of UI, and really this UI is wonderful. This actually this UI is really wonderful. Previously, we don't have a UI. If we want to create a database or something, we have to do it from the command prompt only. But they introduced not only UI, they introduced a lot of features. They're not only introducing that UI for creating database and all, they had introduced a lot of features. Okay. So from InfluxDB 2 onwards. Anyways, now once you create an account, right? So once you create an account like this, then next time if you log into InfluxDB, you will get a screen like this. You will get this screen. Which screen? Let me show you that. It will directly ask you to log in once you create an account. It will directly show you this screen. Clear is once you create an account, initial user account, right? Now once you log in, so enter your credentials over there and log in. You'll see this screen. You'll see like get started and write and query data using any programming language of your choice. And it is showing some Python, Node.js options, etc. Right? Go is a language developed by Google. So this is a language developed by Google. Okay, this is used in it was developed by Google, and it has dedicated that for it has contributed that to the open source community. Anyways, now if you click on the below options on the left side, right, you have something called Data Explorer. See, this is Data Explorer. I think third one is Data Explorer. So if you go to Data Explorer, you will see those buckets that you created before. So you see here, like search buckets, and you see perf test over here. And you can create a bucket also here. By clicking this plus symbol, you can create a bucket, and you can create users as well. Once you set up initial user, you can create, other users as well, right? And now you can see your, suppose you see here, it is showing some box over here with my username. Actually, I gave organization name. Actually, I gave the organization name as MGM IT Training. That is why it is showing that M. The first letter it is showing here. So it indicates that that is my, if you click on about, you can see here, it will show the organization profile. First letter is M, that is why it is showing here. Understood, guys? You can copy it to clipboard or you can rename it also. So that is how I removed those spaces. Understood, guys? Because that space is also causing some issue. Is it clear so far or any queries?
Yep, clear, Anna.
Okay. Now let's move on to this JMeter integration with InfluxDB first, right? So one more, difference or one more discrepancy between previous version and previous InfluxDB previous version and this version is from InfluxDB 2 onwards, they had changed the write API, it seems. Okay. So I got it by searching, I got it somewhere over here, guys. This is the InfluxDB write API from 2 onwards. Write data to InfluxDB using an HTTP request to the InfluxDB API v2 write. So this is the endpoint URL, right? From 2 onwards. And here they gave some example here. Observe here, API to write, right? And let me copy this one. Previously, it was something else. Previously, it was like this. Write $DB is equal to JMeter. However, from 2 onwards, you need to change that InfluxDB URL. If you are using 2 or higher version, you need to change that URL to this one. Up to localhost 8086, that will be the same. And after that, there is a difference. Okay. And I'm copying that URL and I'm pasting it here. I'm replacing it over here. Or else, I think I had replaced it already here. You see here API v2 write org is equal to, you need to specify the org name and bucket name like this. And this is the one that I copied from that. Hold on 1 second. This is the complete URL. I'll write the complete URL over here, actual original URL over here, right? And this is, you need to hold, this is the host name or the machine name on which your InfluxDB is running. Okay. InfluxDB host under colon 8086 API v2 write org is equal to, here you need to give our organization name, and then we need to give the bucket name here. And that is what I did here, right? Org is equal to MGM IT Training, bucket is equal to perf test. And measurement name, I gave it as WebTools dry run table. Okay. WebTools dry run table. You can, measurement is nothing but table. We already discussed yesterday. Application, here you have to give your application name. In this application field, you need to give whatever application you are testing, you are doing performance testing. And test title, give the test name. If you are running a dry run, give it as dry run, or if you are running a load test, give it as load test. And then one more important thing missing in the backend listener, default backend listener, is this one. You need to pass the InfluxDB token like this. And remember, this is the, observe here, this is the token that I generated today. and the same token was added here. I just clicked add and I entered manually this InfluxDB token and this token value. This name value pair should be added. Okay. So these are the two differences from previous version and this version, guys. This is one version. This is one difference. The API endpoint URL is different, as well as this one is different. We need to add this InfluxDB token. Is
I
it
have
clear?
a question.
Yes,
I
yes,
have a question. The
yes.
token which you are mentioning, is it the one which when we create the bucket, or the token has to be generated every time?
No, first time when you set up an initial user, you will get a token, right? That
Right.
token. This
Yeah.
is that token.
Okay. Okay.
Every time you need not create it. Okay. Now, once you do this, once you add this, let me disable the other one. This is the old one. I will disable this. Okay. This is the old implementation. I'll disable this one. Okay. And I'll use this one. I'm going to use this backend listener. And I gave, that my table name as Dyron table and test title as Dyron. All right. And now let us start a test. And now before starting the test, let me show you that InfluxDB console. Before starting the test, you see InfluxDB console. See, observe here, unauthorized and చూపిస్తుంది. Maybe, like for some actions, I did some UI actions, right? For that, it is showing that. But observe the last statement. The last statement was printed at, see, for 5:49:51. What is this 5:49:51? And almost 6 o'clock, isn't it? So 6 o'clock. And what is this time? What can be this time? It is showing the timestamp as 5:50. It is showing the current timestamp as 5:50. What this can be? What can this be? Date is correct, right? So 2024/7/27. This is today's date, but the timestamp is different. So what can be this one?
That's, I mean, you're telling us format?
6 plus 5. Now see, A time zone is what time zone is this?
My time zone. I mean, GMT.
GMT. Are you in GMT time zone?
I am. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's 6 o'clock for you. Daily you are joining early morning. So early
Yeah, of
morning.
course. Yeah. Yes, sir. I
Um,
have to wake up at 4:30 to get ready for this class. So yeah.
oh, oh, okay. Okay. I got 4:30. Okay, fine. So this is GMT time zone. Okay, see, it is 5.5 hours behind us, isn't it? Yes or no? If you round it off and take it as 6 o'clock, right? 6 plus 5:30, right? Yes or no? That is 11:30. So this is 5.5 hours, behind us, right?
4:30 ఉంటుందండి ప్రస్తుతానికి 4.5 hours. ఆఫ్టర్ అక్టోబర్ ఇట్ విల్ బి అగైన్ 5.5 hours. 1 hour ఇంక్రీజ్ అవుతుంది.
No, IST is always 5.5 hours ahead of GMT. That won't change.
ఓకే. ఇక్కడ చేంజ్ అవుతుంది. ఐ డోంట్ నో. ఐ మీన్ వెన్ ఐ కంపేర్ ఇట్ విత్ ఇండియన్ టైమ్, ఇట్స్ ఆఫ్టర్ అక్టోబర్ ఇట్స్ 5.5 hours. బిఫోర్ మే, సారీ మార్చ్, ఇట్స్ అగైన్ 4.5 hours. మాకు సమ్మర్ లో అది 4.5 hours. సమ్మర్
Okay.
దాటిన తర్వాత 5.5 hours అవుతుంది.
Yes, Pavan sir. Australian timing also will change.
What is it?
మనకి ఈ డే లైట్ సేవింగ్ అని స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది కదా, లైక్
Yeah.
మీటింగ్స్ అన్ని కూడా 1 hour ఇది చేస్తారు.
That I know with respect to US. I know that daylight savings in US there will be 1 hour
Same
change.
here. Same
Okay.
here.
Okay. All right. So, anyways, this is nothing but your GMT time. So, if you want to confirm, like so can we how can we confirm that GMT time now? And you will see that, right?
Yeah.
GMT time now. So it is showing 5:59 a.m. Isn't it? Yes or no? Yes. So this time is nothing but GMT time. Is it clear?
No, it's for us on the systems, it will be 6:59.
Okay. No, I don't know. I don't know about that actually.
Daylight saving అని చేంజ్
Okay.
చేస్తారండి 1 hour ని అటు ఇటు మారుస్తారు వింటర్ కి.
Okay. So fine. So but this is GMT or UTC. This is called as GMT or UTC. isn't it? We discussed that before also, guys. Yes or no? Discussed that, we had discussed that before, GMT or
Yeah, yes,
UTC.
yes.
And IST is for GMT plus 530, right? So it is showing in, because why I am explaining this is, once we start writing the results, you need to confirm here. You need to come here and confirm that the results are stored into InfluxDB. So that's the reason I am showing this. I am explaining this. Okay. Now let us start a test now. So let me start our WebTools. It is up and running. WebTools is up and running. Now let me start a test, and I need to change the data for user registration, right? So let me update that also. Okay.
Sir, one question. Where can we find this token, sir? InfluxDB token, if we already registered.
Okay. Yeah, good question. So you can find it. You can take it from once you log in, right? If you are able to, if you remember the credentials and if you can log in. Somewhere I saw the token also, man. 1 second. This is user ID or org ID. I'll show you that later. Variables, labels, secrets. Here in the members only we should be there. Username and the role. Sources. Somewhere I saw that, guys. You can get it from here itself, from the InfluxDB console itself. Somewhere you will get that one. I'll find it out and I'll show it later.
Maybe
We'll see
buckets
that.
load.
No, buckets lo undadu. It will be in, here it is. There is okay. Pavan's token antundi, but it is not showing the token here, right? I think if you launch the token, I think you can generate this one also. All access API token. You can click
Yeah,
on
you can
this.
create a new token, Council. Normally, when you get a token is generated, right? We need to copy and save it.
Correct. Yes, yes. This token will be able to create, update, delete, read, or write anything to the organization. So you click on save. Here it is showing that it has generated one more token. But his question is, where can we see that previous token? This token, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, I think, see, it has displayed clearly on a message saying that you have to save it. After that, you cannot get the token. You remember that? So, once you create this, right, once you click on continue, it will show over there. Like you need to, I think, I should have taken that screenshot also. Yeah, I should be having that screenshot as well. Anyways, we'll see that how to create a user ID, and I'll show that later in the next session also. Right now, but you need to copy it. Once you create the token, you need to copy it and save it somewhere. Otherwise, we cannot get the same token. I think we need to we can generate another API token. Because here it is showing an option to generate a API token, but it is not showing any previous token, isn't it? So I think that is not possible to get the previous token. We cannot get it unless until we saved it. We'll lose it. Okay. Now let us any other queries before we start the execution. So let me clear all the logs. Okay, by doing clear all. Any queries? Any other queries, guys? Before we start the session.
You have
Sir,
changed,
can we
recreated API. Sorry. You've created the API. Don't you have to change it again in the JMeter?
No need.
Okay.
I don't think so, because this token will still be valid. Let's see if it fails. We'll change it. But as far as I know, we don't need to update it. So let us see. Let's see that. May 2024.
Sorry, someone else had the question. I'm sorry.
Sir, can we use the new generated token now?
Yes, once you create a new token, I think we should be able to create it. Okay. So what is this? I think this is the latest file that we configured. We'll do one thing. So I'll replace this dry run with replace this dry run user with trial run user one. Okay. Trial run USR under. Okay. Or else, warm up test. I will call it as warm up test. Replace all. Now let me run the test now. Save it once and let me run the test. And see, once you start the test, the test is started, and keep an eye on this log viewer panel, because if anything goes wrong, you'll see some error message in the log viewer panel if anything goes wrong, and this count increases, isn't it? It will be shown in red color. But as far as but I'm not seeing any errors now. We are not having any errors. You can see that the test is running and we don't have any. The test is running with 50 users, as you can see here. One more thing, right? And now if you go to InfluxDB console, you should see these messages. See, observe here. Previously, the last message was written as 549, isn't it? Now you can see that, like it was started at 6.3. At 6.3, the test was started. The latest test was started at 6.3, isn't it? You can see the test start time over here, or you can see in the JMeter log also, right? Let us go to JMeter log. Here, it will be refreshing. Let's go to the JMeter log and see that the test start time. This is my JMeter bin folder, and open that JMeter.log to see the exact test start time. You'll see test is running or something. Test was started or something, isn't it? Running the test. I think you'll see a message called running the test. Here it is. Okay. So test was started at, okay, sorry, what is this? 723, not this one, guys. Let me search for the next message, latest message. Find next. Here
Pavan
it is.
sir, I shared you the pic once.
Okay. See, this is the latest test start time, 11:34. Okay. Why we are having the previous test results is I did not restart JMeter. Once you restart JMeter, the previous log messages will be gone. But this is the latest test start time at 11:34, isn't it? 2 minutes back. And you can correlate it here. It's exactly 2 minutes before we started the test. And now you can see that, this JMeter is pushing the results to this InfluxDB. You saw this message 6.3 at 6.3, TSI log connection, etc., etc. Previously, it used to be very wonderful actually. Like every 5 seconds, we used to see a message over here on this on Influx console previously. But they made a lot of changes. And now if you want to see the data, right, so you can see it in the UI. Go to your InfluxDB UI, go to Data Explorer, okay, and search your bucket, select your bucket. See, observe here, I had selected the bucket here, and I selected, what is our table name that we gave here? Web2's dry run table, isn't it? So select that Web2's dry run table like this, and observe here, let me hide this meeting controls. Okay. Now see here, so select the table, and now measurement is nothing but table. We discussed that already, isn't it? And it is showing all the tables over here. Now what you do next is, like, you can select whatever field you want to select. Like if you want average response time, select this one. And see here, observe here, once you select average, that is there in this application. You see, we gave the application name as WebTools, isn't it? Over here, we give the application name as WebTools, and that is what it is showing here. Now select this one. Now select this one and select all, right? And now click on submit. Once you click on submit, you see here, it is showing some values over here, showing some values in the graph. And see, observe here, default ga past 1 hour untadi, select past 15 minutes. Now you can see that average response times. In InfluxDB Data Explorer, we are on Data Explorer tab of InfluxDB. Clear, guys? And what are the select past 5 minutes, then you will see a detailed graph. So what are these values? These are all average response times. Okay. And now, but I want to see these are all average response times. But however, I want to see the individual transaction response times. Suppose I want to see the individual transaction response times. Okay. What we need to do is, you remember I told you that this I'll explain the test. Yesterday I told that I'll explain this later on, isn't it? Summary only will be by default true. So you need to make it false if you want to see the individual transaction response times. Okay, change that to false and restart the test, or else it's almost completed. Let the test be completed. Okay, in another couple of seconds, couple of seconds it will be completed. Done. Test is completed here. Now change this summary to false and you'll see the difference. Next time you'll see, like, all the individual transactions also. Here you are not seeing, see, this is nothing but this is the average response time of all the transactions, guys. But that is not we want. Suppose you want to see login transaction response time. Okay, you cannot get like this. You can't get like this. So you need to change this summary only to false. Then only you will get that. Now let me start the next test. Next test, what I will do is, like I will create a new table, dry run table 2 undone. Or else, let me give that date, today's date, 27 July table. And I'll call it as 27 July table. Okay. And test title also, I'll give it as 27 July. Okay. And web tours, same application. So let it be. And now let me start another test now. Okay. And this time I will save the results. Everything is going fine, isn't it? I'll save the results into some JTL file or, some CSV, XML file or CSV file. So we need to configure that file. If you want to save the results into some file, obviously you need to give the file name. Where can we give? Can we give it in view results tree, or should we give it in view results tree, or summary report, or aggregate report? Where should we give that? Our backend listener. Backend listener, there is no option, sorry. But you can give the file name. You can use specify the file name on any listener. Whether you give it in view results tree or summary report or aggregate report, it will work fine. Okay, now what I will do is I'll give the file name as webtools dry run, webtools dry run 27 July. Okay, .xml or .jtl. You can give either JTL or .xml. Okay, let me give XML. And when you give XML, remember you need to configure this and select all these checkboxes. Don't forget this. When you give XML, you need to select this one, click OK and save it. Save the script once, right? And then give the full path also. Because otherwise it will be saved in where it will be saved. If you don't specify the path, it will be this XML file will be saved in
Bin folder,
right? So I don't want to save it in bin folder. I want to save it in your batch folder. So what I will do is, and again in your batch folder also, I want to save it into webtools. So specify the path, specify the full path or absolute path, right? You just specify the absolute path like this, and now start the test. Okay. Now let me select this act. Let me clear everything, right? And remember what difference is there previously and before? We changed the summary only to false. What is the purpose of this one?
To get the individual details.
You'll get the individual transaction details, response times and all. Right now, let me start the test again. And let us go to InfluxDB now. Let me do a refresh here. Okay. Or I think is there any refresh option here? No, there is no refresh option here. There is auto refresh for every 10 seconds. You see here, auto 10s means maybe there is some auto refresh for every 10 seconds. Now see here, you got a new table now. Webtools dry run 27 July table, isn't it? Yes or no? Yes. Select average now. Select the application name as Webtools. Now observe here, like you'll have somewhere you'll have transaction. Yes. Now you can see all your transaction names, right? Without select, if it is false, we will not get. If it is summary only is true. If summary only is true, you will not get those transaction names, guys. Okay. Now you can see you can select whatever transaction you want, or if you want to see for all the transactions, simply select all. Simply select all and submit. And you'll see the rest and select, past 5 minutes over here. Yes, past 5 minutes over here. If it is not showing. Let me do one thing, sir. Let me select those also, the remaining also. I think we need to select explicitly. So index page, index page is not required. Usually we'll be interested for login page and payment, isn't it? I'll select only those. Login and payment are critical transactions, isn't it? So I'll select for those only. Select random flight. Where is my payment step? Where is my payment step? Login, click flight, itinerary. This is home page. Index
Maybe it's
page.
in click flight. I don't know.
Okay. I'll do one thing. I think we cannot resize these windows. Select random flight. Click sign up now. Submit registration. Submit form. Where is that? Okay, let me select this submit registration form also. Okay. and click on submit. Now you can see the individual transaction response times, right? And is there any graph, I mean, which tells like which color is what transaction? Okay, I think if you keep your cursor there on the graph, it is showing. You see there that orange color represents submit registration form, isn't it? Which is it correct, guys? Anyways, you are seeing the individual transactions now, right? That is important. And you can see that, all the response times are of these transactions are below 400 milliseconds. This is milliseconds. Clear, guys? Now we know, like, now we understood that, so this is how this confirms that your your test results are being returned to this InfluxDB console. Yes or no? And you can see this file, this console is also getting updated, right? Yes or no? You can see that, like test was started again at 6:12, I think, 6:12 GMT, I think. You can see that in the log. Go to the JMeter log and you can see that. Running the test student last, you'll see the find next 11:34, 11:42. 11:42, 3 minutes back it was started, isn't it? Yes, you can see here 3.5 minutes back it was started, and that is what it is showing here as well, right? 11:42:20 it was started. Now the problem, there is a problem with this approach. When you are using backend listener, there will be some overhead on JMeter. So that is one drawback or one disadvantage of this approach, right? There will be some overhead on JMeter because this backend listener should push the results to your InfluxDB, right? But this is how we integrate JMeter with InfluxDB. Now suppose see, you can save as, observe here, you save your query as a dashboard cell or a task. You can save this query. These complete things will be saved. Shall we see that? Like click on save as and add optional cell name. Choose at least one dashboard. Create a new dashboard or select InfluxDB 2.0 OSS metrics, and you can give some cell name and you can save as a dashboard cell. But like that's also on the InfluxDB side, this is enough place. So because Grafana is a wonderful tool and most popularly used tool for visualizing the test results. Okay. Now let us go to Grafana and let us see how to create a dashboard. So there also we faced some issue on that day, right? You remember that? Yes or no, guys? We faced some issue over there also when we add a InfluxDB. I mean, when we choose a data source, we faced some issues over there. And click on save and test, we got some issue. Let's see. Now let me go to Grafana. Let me start Grafana first. So if you are getting this site can't be reached, that means Grafana is not running, isn't it? Now go to your services, and Grafana runs as a service. If you remember, go to services and type letter G, and you see here this was set, startup type was set to manual. So you need to start the service, and then only you'll be able to log into the Grafana URL. This is the default URL of Grafana. Localhost 3000 is the default URL of Grafana. Right? And now once you log in, you will see a nice welcome message, and then you'll have an option to create some dashboard, create your first dashboard or add your first data source, etc. Isn't it? First, let me add the data source. And last time we faced some issue here, right? Let me add some data source. And observe here, this number is getting by default updated. Initially, we'll get InfluxDB, then you will get InfluxDB -1, -2, -3, and so on. Okay. And now see here, it is highlighting this one. You need to manually type this one. Otherwise, it will not work, guys. If you without typing that, if you click on save and test, observe here, it is saying invalid URL, validation error, invalid URL. That is because of this one. So you need to type that manually. Localhost :8086. That is the InfluxDB URL, isn't it? And allowed cookies and timeout are not required as far as I know. Okay. And now once I enter that URL, let me click on save and test. I think we need to enter the database. Let me do one thing. Let me see type and test. Save and test. Let's see what happens. What is it saying? Error reading InfluxDB. Oh, database name, we already gave different two databases names, right? I'll give as perf test and let me try this. Okay, again, still this is getting some error. Hold on, get our post. Post method. Actually, previously there is no such, method selection over here. Still, this is still having some issues, isn't it? Okay, so I'll do one thing. I'll stop the recording here till this InfluxDB integration, and Grafana we'll see it later how to integrate. We'll have a separate recording session for that, so that your recording session will not be lengthy, and it will not be having some failed attempts, right? So let me pause recording here. We are done with InfluxDB JMeter integration with InfluxDB, guys. Is it clear or any queries in this part?
No.
And someone told that they posted some screenshot, right? Maybe that
Can you
endpoint.
meet Alan?
Alan, okay. In the WhatsApp group, did you post in the WhatsApp group? Yes, thanks. Right. You see here, this is the token first. When we create a initial user, you will get this token, isn't it? And clearly that displaying a message saying here that you make sure to ready to your operator API token now. This token enables super user privileges like creating users, orgs, etc. Okay. So if you want to create users, we need to use this token, or some token should be already created, and you can create organizations also. And you want to be able to see it again, isn't it? That confirms that we cannot get the previous token from the from this InfluxDB console, right? That confirms that we cannot get the token later on at later point of time. Or if you missed the token, you need to generate a token again, isn't it? And this confirms that. And then this is how you get that. And if you can use this copy to clipboard and save that API endpoint URL somewhere, that InfluxDB API token somewhere. Okay. So and below that it also displays that your InfluxDB has one organization, one user, and one bucket. In the previous screen, like I have shown this, right? Here we created one user, one organization, right? One organization as well as one initial bucket, isn't it? And that is what it is showing over there. So this is the username and this is the password and this is the organization name that I gave and this is the initial bucket name. And that is what it is telling here. You now have one username, one organization and one bucket. One organization, one user and one bucket. Yes. Any queries? So I'll stop if you don't have any queries, I'll stop the recording here. So this is done. We are done with that's all you have to know in this from this InfluxDB part, guys. If you are interested to explore further, so you have a lot of documentation. There is a lot of documentation. I had resolved that issue only going through that documentation only. Okay. And found this URL and I tried this. Once I tried this URL, I was able to resolve that. Okay. So you have a lot of documentation over here. So if you want to explore further anything like, for example, Prometheus scrape, Prometheus metrics or, but they added a lot of features in this InfluxDB 2 version. I really liked it that, previously it used to be from command line. It used to be simple, but very less features. But actually right now they added a lot of features over here. Some sources, buckets, telegraphs, scrapers, API tokens, and all this. What is this API token contain?
Is there any possibility to see the readings on the table, just like we see on aggregate report in JMeter?
No, so we cannot see that in the form of a table now because they that influx console is revoked now. Previously, we used to see that like if you want, I will share the previous sessions. You can see the table also actually. You type a select command, select star from that table name. If you use that query, we were able to see that in the form of a table previously. But that table doesn't make any sense actually. It will be like it will be very plain table and that will not be that much. We can understand, but client will not understand. Or but here once you create Grafana dashboards and all, you will have wonderful visualization, right? So we will what we will do is like we will integrate or we will create some dashboards now in the next session. we'll create some Grafana dashboards, and there you can see those all the data. Okay, all the response times and all, you can see that over there in Grafana dashboards. Hey, there is an option to download here. Observe here, CSV, you have an option to, and view raw data also. Let me check this. I think they have provided an option here, view raw data, and let me click on CSV. So it should yeah, let us see these results. Yes, wonderful, right? So you can, yeah, here you can see this. You can see the timestamp. See, observe here it, that this is the beauty of time series databases, right? It will capture the data along with the timestamp, along with the data's timestamp, isn't it? And now you can see the measurement as the table name. Measurement is nothing but table name. And you can see the transactions over here, web tours, book ticket, login, user registration, submit button. I had selected a couple of transactions only. And you are seeing the response time of average response time of all those. You see here, observe here, field is average, so these are the average response time of these transactions. I think, the test ran for 5 minutes, right? So these are the average response times of those transactions of the, during that duration. Okay. I think this is what you are looking for, right? You can
Something like
download that
yes.
data in the form of a table by downloading it as a CSV file.
Yeah. But we cannot do any more queries on it, right? On that. I mean,
Yes,
if it's a table, we could query.
there is something called script editor, right? Yes, I think here you can query those results.
Okay.
But I didn't try this. I did not try this, but you have an option to called query builder. I think we should be able to. We should be able to query the database like by building your query and all. Right. Okay. So shall we stop it here, guys? I'll stop it here. I'll stop this recording for here, and I'll cover that Grafana dashboards in a different session. Okay. I'm pausing the recording.
What is that KO and OK? I mean, before selecting this
Yeah.
transactions.
Let me explain that. So before this, right? So let me unselect this filter. Let me clear this filter. Once you select this, observe here. By default, you are seeing once you select your application name, by default, you are seeing all KO and OK. So OK is for passed transactions and KO is for failed transactions. If there are any failed transactions, you select KO and click on submit, you'll see those. See, there are some failed transactions. What are the failed transactions? Status is KO. KO is means not OK. Got it. Okay. And submit registration form failed actually. You can see here that submit registration form is the transaction that failed. And you can cross verify with your JMeter. You can go to your JMeter and you can see summary report or aggregate report. You see here, user registration, submit registration form failed by 67%. That is what it is showing here. Some failed transactions for that submit registration form. Okay. And if you want, any particular transaction, select transaction over here and you can search. It will show all the transactions in your script. See, this is showing all the transaction names that you gave in the script, isn't it? Now, if you want a particular login transaction or payment transaction, search for that, select that login, and then select payment. Suppose you want to see for login and payment. So you select that login and payment transactions like this and click on submit. Now it is showing the response times, average response times of only those transactions. Clear?
Does that include the failed ones or just in any? Because we didn't select that KO or OK while coming to these individual.
These are passive transactions only.
Okay.
You see there, status it is showing the status there in the graph. On the top of the graph, you are seeing status as all and OK, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that should be passive transactions only.
So individual transactions, whether failed or passed, we can't verify that. It shows only passed ones.
No, you should be able to select that also. You should be able to select, status and status select KO. Yeah, submit. It is showing only failed transactions.
Got that. Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys, I'm closing the session, guys, for today. Okay. Any other queries before we close? So please, please practice till here. I'll do one thing. So I'll give it as an assignment. This JMeter integration with Grafana thing. I'll give it as an assignment in the Google Classroom. And I'll close the session.